Issued after a suspect shoots two police officers at a Central Missouri convenience store.
And we are tracking winter-like temperatures across the area today, but will we have an opportunity to warm up? We've got the answer coming up.
And the president says taxpayers will not have to foot the bill to save two recently failed banks.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A manhunt is underway in Central Missouri after a shooting that killed one officer and left another in serious condition. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, authorities are searching for a man wanted for shooting two police officers in Herman, Missouri. It happened around 9:30 last night at the Casey's convenience store in the small town about 80 miles west of St. Louis. Police are not releasing details about what led to the shooting or have said if the officers returned fire. Now, shortly after midnight, the manhunt focused on a house in Herman along Highway 19, not far from the store where the shooting happened. Now, this is an image of the suspect, 35-year-old Kenneth Simpson from Eureka, Missouri. He was last seen driving a 2014 black Jeep Wrangler. Missouri Highway Patrol says both of the officers shot were Herman police officers. Now, Sergeant Mason Griffith died from his injuries overnight. The second officer has not been identified and remains hospitalized in serious condition. Many gathered in the community over the weekend to celebrate the life of one of Joplin's finest. Officer Jake Reed was one of 3 officers shot during last year's shootout outside the Buckle in Joplin. KOAM's Carrie Worthen has a recap from Saturday's service.
And I can honestly say that he was one of my favorites.
Friends, family, and co-workers gathered today to celebrate Jake Reed's memory. Jake Reed was a police officer for the Joplin Police Department. In Reed's final act of service, he donated his organs so other people could live.
It's one thing giving the ultimate sacrifice, during the line of duty, but to go a step further and to provide your organs so that other people can live, it's a step above.
Today's marked Officer Jake Reed Day. Through tears, one by one, people shared stories about Reed.
While my walk of faith hasn't been easy, and I don't consider myself some great example, I have a few things in my faith I stay true to. And one is I know that when I get to heaven, Jake will be there.
He was one of the few officers that would always come in and say hi to dispatch no matter what. He wanted to have that connection with us, like we were family.
He just did that because that's who he was.
He always wanted to know what was new in my life, what was going on, and I deeply miss those conversations. I think about him every day, and I'd give anything to have those talks again.
And don't forget about the laughs.
Jake gets his back. He's smiling. Everyone knows that smile. He's laughing. So what'd you get, Jake? An A. I said, Jake, how do you cheat off me and get a better grade? And he said, you can take it up with the professor. I'm sure he'll give you an A.
And he would have been successful had there not been one small tree on the side of the trail. It was over. Jake was calling for a medevac and said he was done riding.
He also had a strong love for my daughter. We'd go over to Jake and Bailey's for dinner. I think Jake played with Rayleigh the entire time. My daughter loved him.
He was unapologetically always himself. I don't recall a day when Jake didn't make me laugh even after arguing with him. I miss the sound of Jake's laugh and that beautiful smile. I miss the hope for a long lifetime of brotherhood.
When you think of Jake, just remember that big smile looking down on all of us from heaven.
Officer Jake Reed's end of watch was March 11th, 2022. In Joplin, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
A Jake Reed Memorial Scholarship Fund has been set up in Jake's honor to help pay for an MSSU criminal justice student's tuition and will continue each year, as well as a donor-advised fund. Well, technically, it's still winter, and it sure feels like it outside. Chris Warner joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, it certainly does still feel like winter out there, and over the last couple of days, it's kind of looked like winter out there as well, with just gray, dreary skies. And we still have the mostly cloudy skies this afternoon, but you can see sunlight from 7th and Range Line, so we are getting some bits of sun. MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line, same thing. You can see even up here in this far corner, a little bit of blue sky out there, and these clouds will continue to clear as we head into the afternoon. So here's a look at where we should be for our lows and for our highs. Yesterday, you could see our highs were about 20 degrees off the pace, but our lows were almost right where they should be. If we can just get these high temperatures up and get them to stay that way, we'd be in pretty good shape, but it's not working out for us. We got 31 Iola, 32 Fort Scott, 31 Pittsburgh, 31 Lamar, Nevada, 34 Chatopa, Miami, 32 in Neosho, and 31 in Joplin. So here's a look at what we've got going on this week so far. We got more sunshine today. I know it's hard to believe, but there will be more sunshine later, and we're holding on to those below average highs. We will warm up a bit as we head into the middle of the week, and we're watching some shower and thunderstorm chances as we head into Thursday. We got a powerful cold front coming in, and I'll tell you what it's going to do to our temperatures after it moves through. In the meantime, make sure you scan that QR code or go to your favorite app store and download the KOAM Skywatch weather app. That way you can keep ahead of all the latest weather information happening here in the 4 states. We'll take a look at that warm up and those rain chances here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The sudden collapse of 2 banks is sending shock waves across the financial community. Silicon Valley Bank, which finances many tech companies, went down on Friday. And on Sunday, Signature Bank in New York followed. SVB announced almost $2 billion in losses last week, and that sparked a run on withdrawals that the 20th largest bank in the U.S. could not handle. Analysts say SVB got into trouble when rising interest rates drove down the value of bonds that the bank was heavily invested in. And during a short address this morning, President Biden stressed American taxpayers will not be paying for this emergency bailout. He says the money will come from fees that banks pay into the Deposit Insurance Fund. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, it's a celebration at the Vatican as the first Latin American Pope reaches his 10-year mark as head of the Catholic Church. And later, we're making a classic corned beef and cabbage in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Pope Francis today marks 10 years as head of the Roman Catholic Church. He celebrated Mass with cardinals and released his very first podcast. CBS's Chris Livesay reports.
10 years have passed since Pope Francis stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Cathedral as the first Latin American pontiff.
Buonasera.
Succeeding Benedict XVI, who had become the first pope in 6 centuries to resign.
After Benedict, the great theologian, after John Paul II, the great evangelizer, people needed a pope close to them. Francis, in many ways, has been transformative.
Pope Francis celebrated the first decade of his papacy Monday in a private mass with cardinals at the Vatican after releasing his first podcast, or Popecast, as it's been called. The 86-year-old reportedly asked aides, "What's a podcast?" and then jumped into conversation, saying it seems like yesterday that he was elected pope and that the best gift on his anniversary would be peace. We need peace, he said. Taking his name after St. Francis of Assisi, Pope Francis shunned the lavish papal apartments, residing instead in a modest hotel for visiting priests. He's washed prisoners' feet, advocated for refugees and migrants, even cracked open the door for the LGBT community with a single phrase, "Who am I to judge?" But despite setting up new standards for reporting clerical sex abuse, victims say there haven't been enough consequences for bishops accused of harboring predator priests.
Right now, it is appearing that no one has done less than this papacy itself.
Still, supporters call his first 10 years as Pope the Francis Revolution, crediting him with choosing service and kindness over the power of the papacy. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Rome.
Earlier this year, Pope Francis became the first pope in modern history to preside over the funeral of his predecessor, Pope Benedict, who had been living at the Vatican since his resignation. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
We're getting ready for St. Patty's Day with a classic combo that will make your mouth water. So come along and join us.
We've got ourselves a couple more cold nights, a warm up, and then some rain and a powerful cold front. We'll look at all that when we come back. Well, we have had a bitterly cold day across the area. It's darn near felt like winter. I mean, and again, technically, it is still winter. We don't see spring officially kick in until Sunday, but I've got bad news about the first day of spring as well. But let's look at what we've got going on right now, and let's try and look at some good news in between here and there. So even just since the start of the show, you can see clouds beginning to break up from the camera at 7th and Range Line, a little bit more blue sky out there. We've had sunshine, same at 7th or 20th and Range Line on the MoDOT camera there. There's that blue sky right up there as these clouds continue to clear on out of here, and they will do so as the afternoon progresses. We're 31 in Joplin, feeling like 23 with a north-northwest breeze at 9. It's almost like January out there. Across the region, it is January. I mean, honestly, it certainly looks like it. 31 in Iola, Pittsburgh, Lamar, Nevada, 32 Fort Scott, 36 Neodesha, 34 Chatopa, Miami, 32 Neosho, and 30 in Carthage. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, we're still going to do a little more warming because now that these clouds are clearing out, we'll see a little more sunlight. And we're still expected to make highs in the lower 40s. Not like that's a big, great deal, but at least it's a pinch warmer than where we are now. And we'll go from partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies as we start to head into the evening and overnight hours. Here's the deal, though. Because it's mostly clear, you know what happens. We're going to lose any of that warm air, and we're going to get downright cold again, dropping back down to a low of 27 degrees. So, I said warm weather is on the way. And I'm not lying to you. Warm weather is on the way. Take a look, 6:30 in the morning this Thursday. Look at these temperatures. That certainly beats what we had this morning when we were about 25 degrees. So a lot better out there. You see a lot more cloud cover, and the wind arrows are ushering in a southerly breeze. However, Thursday, this is ahead of a very powerful cold front. It's going to do two things for us, perhaps three things. It's going to bring us showers and thunderstorms. It could bring us some light snow, and it's going to bring us much colder air. So let's see what happens as we set things in motion. In the morning, could be a few stray showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. It's not until the afternoon that we really see the activity begin to pick up on this cold front. You can see all of this here and the wind shift back behind where that front is, and take a look at the temperature and precipitation changes as you head further west into Kansas. So there's that line, there's that front. Here it comes as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, and then our temperatures begin to drop. It's going to get cold, and there is the possibility late Thursday night into the overnight hours and very early Friday morning, we could see some light snow. Now at this point, we're not really anticipating much out of that light snow, but don't be surprised if you see a few flakes flying. However, this is Friday morning. And you remember Thursday morning. Now look at Friday morning, the big difference in these temperatures after this front rolls through. So we will warm up, at least briefly. 51 tomorrow, 62, cloudy, breezy Wednesday, the storms Thursday up to 64, and then that's it. That cold front comes in down to 43 for St. Patrick's Day, 24 for the overnight low. And as we head into the weekend and the first day of spring, yeah, look at that, only 47 on Sunday. And you saw where our average should be. It should be close to 60 degrees. So not good. And then after that, we hang on to the 40s as we kick off the next work week. More rain chances on Tuesday. Our first somewhat spring-like day looks to be next Wednesday, when we're going to be cloudy and 55. But at least we'll be a lot closer to our average by next Wednesday. But man, a few warm days this week, and by a few I mean about 2, and then we go right back into winter mode across the 4 states.
Well, I hope that rain will get out of our way before we're ready to go out and celebrate St. Patty's.
We should be good St. Patrick's Day. It's just you're going to want to bundle up. It
Yeah.
is going to be absolutely frigid.
Yeah, with those storms come the cold. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, have you got your dinner plans set for St. Patty's? We're making classic corned beef and cabbage after the break. Well, nothing says St. Patrick's Day like a classic corned beef and cabbage, and today that's exactly what we're whipping up in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
It's almost St. Patrick's Day, and that means we'll be celebrating in a big way. It also means we'll need a big meal to welcome it in style. So today, we're cooking up a classic hearty favorite that's Irish-inspired, yet actually has American roots. All we do is place a raw corned beef in a large soup pot, or we can use a Dutch oven, and cover it with some water. Just make sure you add the little package of pickling spice that comes with it. because it gives it a load of flavor. Okay, we let that simmer for a couple of hours. Meanwhile, we peel and cut a few potatoes into good-sized chunks. And to save time, which we always want to do, we add a package of baby carrots. This way we don't have to peel and cut them. And what's corned beef without cabbage? So we cut ahead into wedges and add it along with our veggies right on top of our almost tender meat. You see, adding our veggies now ensures that everything cooks up tender at the same time. We'll cover it and let it simmer till our veggies are cooked through and they absorb all that meaty flavor from the corned beef. And let me tell you, this smells amazing. And when we slice this tender as can be corned beef across the grain and serve it up with all those steaming hot veggies, just watch all your leprechauns come running right to the table. The recipe for our classic corned beef and cabbage is online now, just in time for St. Patty's Day, or really any day. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found the look of the Irish way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Well, even though we set our clocks forward and we sprung forward, temperatures did not and will not until Wednesday and Thursday. Then a strong cold front comes in Thursday. Got some showers and thunderstorms, knocks us back down into the 40s for Friday, Saturday, and for the first day of spring. So we're about 10, 12 degrees off the average for the first day of spring. So not very spring-like at all.
I know a lot of kids are in spring break right now, and it's too cold to do anything.
And unfortunately, next week looking to be about the same way. Too cold to do anything.
Too bad.
I'm ready for actual spring and summer temperatures.
We all are, for sure.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, we know that sitting all day isn't good for your health, even if it is too cold to get outside. In Health Watch, we have a simple strategy to help you get up and get moving. Plus, Columbus Schools partners with Community Health Clinic of Southeast Kansas to provide medical and behavioral health services. And spring break for Kansas students as Greenbush Education Services is offering activities all week. Maybe that's one solution for the cooler weather. Hope you join us. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Down. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.